The Houston Texans seem to have the problem that everybody wants. They're too talented. There is a position specifically, and I just want to go ahead and take a moment and talk about the difference from last year to this year, especially at one spot specifically. And we can go there. It's not a big deal. I just can't wait, all right, to talk about it. So the Houston Texans have a problem when it comes to having too much talent on the offensive end at wide receiver. In a recent article on Battle Red Blog, they talked about the value of things. Houston Texans wide receiver crunch. So before we jump into that, let's go ahead and give you a friendly reminder of who the Houston Texans had in their depth chart a year ago at this time. You remember, all right, and yes, it has current people on there, so I apologize. But look at this. Nico Collins, Tank Dell. And then they had a bunch of what were veterans that were like, what are they going to do? Robert Woods is getting too old. Noah Brown never made it in Dallas, so what's it going to look like in Houston? Mechie, all right? And then you can even go over to the tight end with Dalton Schultz. And you can say Dalton Schultz was injured in Dallas, kind of left unceremoniously, not in a bad way, just not like thriving in any way either. So you're sitting there and you have to ask yourself, like, they didn't have a ton. They had Xavier Hutchinson, but it was a lot of unproven talent. Tank Dell was exciting coming in as a new draft pick. Nico Collins had never put it all together or stayed healthy. Like, there just wasn't much there. Fast forward to 2024 and a phenomenal quarterback and a great offensive system later, and all of a sudden, you have all this talent. In fact, you can make the argument that there's no team that has a more talented wide receiver room than you. I know it sounds crazy, but you can make the argument. All right? Maybe the Bears? Maybe the Vikings? That's about it. I mean, it is solid. LA, there's a handful of teams that just have unbelievable ones. And part of that is because of your automatic starters. You now have Nico Collins. And they said, I'm not sure whether Collins is a Pro Bowl receiver or just a guy that had a really good season. He's a Pro Bowl receiver. He's Mike Evans, except I believe some more tools than Mike Evans. It just makes sense. It says in the rearview mirror, everything makes sense. In the windshield, we can only guess. Either way, he's one of the starting wide receivers as long as he's healthy. I'm not saying he's leading this team in targets. I don't think he is. All right, but what he's going to do with those 7 targets a game is going to be absolutely remarkable when he's never doubled, when he always has single coverage, when you have to put somebody over the top on Diggs because Collins might not be at Diggs' level. You can't double them both. And you definitely can't double all 3. All right, then let's talk about the next guy, Tank Dell. All right? How will he recover from the broken leg and the gunshot wound? You know he's going to recover from the broken leg because he was already working out on it. All right? And it says you always worry about smaller guys that rely on speed and quickness. If they lose a step, they could go from great to mediocre or worse overnight. All right. Yes and no. Here's the deal with Tank Dell. Tank Dell was never going to be that guy who you give 100 targets, 115 targets to in a season. His body can't hold up to it. All right, it's not a good idea for him. What he needs to be is that third receiver that is the best third receiver in the league. Now he is that when you have Diggs and Collins. You can let Diggs and Collins work the outside. Tank Dell can work the slot. There'll be times where they bring Diggs in. I understand that. Or even Collins. All right, but Tank Dell can work as that third receiver and be absolutely phenomenal. It's not a knock on Dell. That's not a knock on Dell. That's just simply understanding what his body can handle. All right, and then you add the guy that puts it all together. All right, Stefan Diggs. They said fans get caught up in lovingly what they call magical thinking. In other words, fans focus on all the positives and ignore the negatives. I think Diggs will perform well and flourish in the system, but we can't ignore the warning signs of a season where he faded down the stretch. And I don't say that because this is a non-swearing show, but talked his way out of town. Here's the thing that I think we need to recognize. Diggs has been in the league for 9 years. He spent 5 years with, maybe 8 years, 4 years with the Vikings, 4 years with the Bills. His track record is by year 4, he's ready to get out of town. Well, by year 4, he'll be ready for retirement here. So let's stop worrying about that. And by the way, he's getting older. He realizes the value of things. He also realizes what's happening in Buffalo. He also realized, and we need to realize, that it wasn't just last year that he faded down the stretch. He fades when the weather gets cold. All right? It's not that he fades because he can't handle it. And maybe it is because he can't handle 150 targets a year, so he's ready to go down to 115 targets a year. Yeah, that's fine. He's still a top 10 wide receiver in the National Football League. So you have these 3 starters that are phenomenal. And then you have your depth pieces. Your Noah Brown, your Robert Woods. These are the guys that are proven players in this league. Robert Woods has proven to be starter caliber. Now he's getting older, so he's going to be a rotational piece. Noah Brown proved he can come in and get stuff done. All right, last year. Why not? And then you have the young guys. And the real question is, can one of these young guys, Hutchinson, Mechie, Skoranek, all right, maybe Sims, I don't think so, or one of the Yankee brothers, can one of these guys surpass everyone else on the bubble and Robert Woods in order to make the roster? Because letting go of Robert Woods is not a financial problem. It actually saves the Texans money. So you don't even need to worry about that. All right, but don't just take my word for it. I'm not the only one talking about this ridiculousness. Nico Collins went on because everybody's worried about Nico Collins. How's Nico Collins? They added Diggs. Nico Collins was the man. He was primed to be the number 1 receiver, blah, 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 blah. He's still young. He still has time to be the number 1 receiver. Right now, he can be part of a great receiving core. All right, so they asked him what he thought, all right, and this is an article on Pro Football Talk about the offense. And here's what he had to say. Oh, yeah. It's going to be dangerous, real dangerous, man. All right? Adding Diggs to the room, it's going to be a lot of weapons. They're going to be great opportunities for everybody. You want to know why you have more opportunities for everybody? Because if a quarterback's throwing the ball 35 to 40 times a game, all right, which is not out of the question, you can get 7, 8, 9, 10 targets for 3 to 4 players and then just dump it off to the other ones seemingly around. You're going to get 7 targets a game for Nico Collins. You're going to get 5, 6, 7 targets a game for Tank Dell. You're going to get 4, 5, 6 targets a game for Schultz. You're going to get 7, 8, 9 targets a game for Diggs. And then a few to the running backs and a couple other wide receivers. It's going to happen. Stop acting like there's not mouths to feed. This has been a problem in San Francisco. Oh, how are they going to feed all the mouths? They got Christian McCaffrey. They got Kittle. They got Ayuk. They got Debo. Last time I checked, every single one of those guys has had a monster year. Every single one of those guys. And they've been fine. It's been great. It's going to be great opportunities for everybody. It's only adding more depth, more weapons to the offense, more weapons to the team. The sky is the limit for us. Can't wait until the season is going to start. Man, it's nice. I feel like the offense has a lot of weapons. Everybody has got a chance. When the ball's in their hands, an explosive play is coming. I feel like for us, we need to continue to work on the details, continue to be us, continue to have fun, and show the world what we can do. I can't wait for it. Here's the thing. He understands that there are less opportunities. But those opportunities will be greater because you have 4 to 5 guys on that field now. Collins, Diggs, Dell, Mixon, Schultz. The defense can't guard everyone. They can't double everyone. So what smart players understand is when they're surrounded by more good players, their opportunities may be less, but what they do with those opportunities will be greatly more. All right, look across the why did I just forget the name of it? All right, look to Florida. Look across the Gulf of Mexico. All right, to Florida in Miami. Jalen Waddle, his rookie year, sure, had 1,000 yards receiving, had over 100 catches, had a crap ton of targets. Year 2, targets go down. Targets go way down with the addition of Tyreek Hill. But his yards per attempt skyrocket. His yards per catch go from like 10 to 18. All right, look at it. Year 1 to year 2. And it's because they added more weapons. He was able to do the exact same stuff, just more efficiently. That's better for you and your career long term. It's better for everyone. All right? It will be fine. More weapons is a good problem to have. All right, thanks for watching. Every day, Texans content. Go here. We're almost at 15,000 subs. We want to get there. Hit that subscribe button, and thanks for watching.